Hey, hello, good evening. Sorry, some internet troubles. We're here though. That's the problem with doing this remotely, self-producing all that stuff. I remember when I first started doing all of this, like having to self-produce a while ago, like years ago, when they wanted us using OBS and stuff. It always made me nervous, Spags, because I was like, if this goes wrong, I don't know how to fix it. Like they say, Josh is the only one that was good at it at the time. So yeah, but we're here. What's up, brother?
Excited to be here. Yeah, I have a hardwired connection and it dropped off right before the show. Loughy and I having a nice conversation, and all of a sudden it went frozen. I'm like, oh no, what happened here? We boned, but no, it's just me. So I'm on Wi-Fi now, should be good. But excited for the slate. Excited to be here with Loughy again. I'm excited to get some takes out. I was actually watching your stream with Greg from this morning before the show, and I'm excited to also not get endless Ravens D, but get an appropriate amount of Ravens D on this Showdown slate.
Yeah, not 60%. The old 53.5 total game. Let's talk about it. Glad to have you guys here. If you don't mind, take a single second as you enter the virtual door. Atone for your sins. Some people don't like that, but that's okay. Most of you are okay with it. Someone was how annoying it was the other day. What are you going to do, brother? Anyway, hit that thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. Appreciate you guys supporting us in advance. We almost got 100 likes. All right. That's dedication, that's community, that's commitment, and it's appreciated. Anyway, we got a good game. Are you a Talking Heads fan?
No, somebody, this is so weird that came up again. Somebody quoted Talking Heads in my chat today, and like I know some of the songs, but not enough to know a lyric from them offhand. And they're like, "What? You don't know Talking Heads?" And now you're bringing it up, so that's really weird to have that twice in one day.
Very odd. I have my daughters, my 4-year-old and almost 2-year-old, watching. It's the Stop Making Sense tour, right? It was a tour, but they were filmed it, made like a. At the time, I guess it would have been like a VHS or whatever out of it. It's the greatest thing ever. So trying to get them. Talking Heads do not suck, Barney. You're insane, man. Listen to This Must Be the Place and tell me that is not one of the greatest songs ever made. Anyway, point is, I'm trying to get these girls indoctrinated at a young age, Spags, into listening to some good music. You know, they're the audible palette. I'm trying to prime it.
Of all the ways to indoctrinate your kids, I think that's one of the safer ones that you can
do. Anyway, glad to have you guys here. Let's make it happen, and let's talk about some football. Yeah, we got a good one. Ryan, maybe they are. That's another great one. I'm telling you, if you guys are fans, you got to go watch it. Stop Making Sense on YouTube. The greatest thing ever. But that's besides the point. It's like when David Byrne wears the big suit. Spags, I want you to watch some. I'm going to send it to you. Just take a peek and let me know. Okay.
Look, I respect you enough to do that, even though I don't know, but I listen. I'll take it in.
Yeah, it's powerful music. Apparently, he was a massive narcissist and everybody hated him. But
yeah, that's every musician who's ever been successful in the history of music.
Yeah, that's just good. That's good musicians, right? All right, so we have a really good game ahead of us. I mean, a really good game. The weird thing about this is oftentimes when you guys get these, you guys know this too. Like I talk about it a lot. Yeah, Barnaby, After the Burial is one of my all-time favorite bands. They're the best, and they should be way more popular than they are. But whatever. These games, looking at something like this, Spags, a lot of times you go, man, it's tough to build a lineup I really like because there's so many good players. But these teams spread the ball around enough, even to some extent. The Ravens, right? Your Batemans and your Andrews and like a Justice Hill type, and then a discounted Laporta and some of these other guys like tertiary type options outside of St. Brown and Gibbs. I mean, Montgomery's $6,200. That it's actually not hard to build lineups that you look at and go, hey, that looks pretty nice.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, the pay down options on the slate are really appealing as well. Like Charlie Kolar is not a name I expect to be one of the first names out of my mouth here, but he's a guy getting meaningful routes, playing honestly barely a few less routes per game than Mark Andrews. He's been awful so far, filling in for Isaiah Likely in terms of fantasy production, but he's out there a good amount. Isaac Tesla, I think people want to talk themselves into. He went from 3 snaps week 1 to 17 snaps week 2. He's definitely had a nose for the end zone, limited sample size. We've seen him in the preseason and so far in the regular season, but he's a guy I think is in play. Even your Khalif Raymond guys you can go to. There's a lot of guys for cheap, and I think that's sort of what makes the kickers and defenses more compelling. But I agree with you. It's like a very deep down slate. Guys like Rashad Bateman just not priced for the opportunity that they're in.
Yeah, I don't know where you're at on Bateman, and we'll jump around as we always do, try to cover all our bases. I'll bring the Sims up in just a second, but let's do a nice little introduction here. Like, I know that he's not. Oh, is that a banquet?
I've become a banquet and a Miller Lite boy because I love IPAs, but I'm 40 now. I can't rip 250 calorie IPAs all night without it having adverse conditions. But a banquet, respectable 5%er, 150. We're doing okay.
I was drinking them yesterday during the Eagles game. A good Eagles game, by the way.
They're delightful. In the stubbies, I hope. The stubby bottle just makes it taste better.
Yeah,
the can is fine.
Otherwise, don't drink them. Yeah, of course. They are quite delightful. You're right. They are.
It's shocking. Like, I really am such a beer snob, or have been. And I read there's a lot of brewers that love Coors Banquets and Miller High Lifes are like the two macro brews, like Miller Lite for a light beer. I think I tend a lot of brewers to like those. And I was like, why? If I don't like them, like, I must be the wrong one then. So I tried it and like really became a hit with me and the wife. We both like them as like a kind of chilling out beer where you don't have to go nuts.
They're good. Dude, go online though and read like beer reviews from beer reviewers, and you'll never be a beer snob again. You'll never want to be associated with people like that. It's the work. They never graded above a 2 out of 5. They just like, those type. I can't. But I'm with you on the banquet beers, brother. We can agree on that one. But what do you make of somebody like? Go ahead.
18 banquets for this guy in the chat. That's a few too.
That's awesome. That's great. 18 banquet. Did you put that up?
Yeah, I put that up. Yeah, I'm on the Firefox login, so I'm good to.
Perfect.
I can help you out producing if you want. I don't do it usually, but that one I figured
anytime you want to hit those sound effects, go for it.
Well, then I would just do it the entire video like a child, like a toddler.
I know that's the problem. I mentioned it on this morning show with Greg, and it's like with Bateman, he hasn't done anything yet this year. Nothing's really materialized, but that's kind of just the way he is. First of all, like Zay Flowers could have 3 straight games with under 50 yards and no one's going, how'd that happen? Like, it's just the way this team is. And obviously he's far less likely to do that than Bateman. I'm not putting them in the same bucket. What I am saying is Bateman last year did have the most end zone targets on the Ravens, and a lot of them were deep balls. They weren't just like inside the 5. These were deep shots. And only Andrews had more red zone targets. He had 22. Bateman had 21. So, yeah, look, is he a volatile play? Is he a risky play? Of course he is. But Bateman's just one of those type of guys. Him and Laporta today, where it's like, if they had 2 touchdowns, would I be shocked at their price points if they were in the optimal lineup? Nope, not at all. So I want to get a decent amount of those type of guys today. And I think, as you pointed out, those price points make them really easy to roster.
Yeah, I mean, Bateman, I'm shocked by the price point, to be honest. Like, granted, he has not been good, like Loughy talked about here, but he is running 35 snaps a game, 20 routes a game. Like, that's about 2x the amount that DeAndre Hopkins has had in the route category, about 3x the amount in the snaps. And Hopkins has run really hot so far. He's been very good relative to the amount of work they've given him. But at a certain point, the rubber does meet the road. We are, even in football, you're still looking for volume, guys being on the field more. And Bateman's out there a lot, and I agree with you. He was good last year. I'm kind of surprised he's gone by the wayside so much after getting new money, but actually might have been why they gave him new money, was to keep him placated while they're bringing in Hopkins and giving him probably too much of a role for what he should be at this stage.
Oh, chat's not going to like that. Earlier in chat today, a lot of people were high on DeAndre Hopkins.
He's playing well. It's just he's barely playing. Like, he has to keep catching a 50-yard touchdown to keep up with what he's doing, and he's more expensive than Bateman. It's just based on everything we know, based even off the projections from Stokastic. So projections around the industry too. It's not just Stokastic. Yeah, Bateman's the better play, whether he hits again or doesn't hit again rather, and Hopkins does. That's kind of inconsequential. Just the route opportunity, the overlying numbers for how Bateman's been in this offense. Like, Bateman should be your priority.
The fact that Hopkins is, I don't care what happens tonight. The fact that Hopkins is $800 more expensive than Bateman is insane.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Like, Hopkins played 10 snaps last game.
Yeah, Tez played the same amount too. Like, it's not a real role for Hopkins. They have said this week that Hopkins should be getting more opportunity as the season goes on, getting more time on the field. But Bateman's been a good sacrificial X receiver plus more on top for a while for the team. So I'm not sure. I mean, it has to come from him, and I don't think it does.
Yeah, at least not dropping him below like a 50% snap share. I don't see that being the case. Tesla is another one that Tyler Tech in chat asked about. Yeah, again, he's one of those guys where in week 1, he played 3 snaps, and last week he played 17. I guess, Spags, you see incrementally more work for him going forward, right? But this isn't the easiest of matchups. It's in Baltimore. It is a high total, so I'll give him that, right? However, and Michael Martinez saying single lineup Sims is telling me to put Bateman at captain. Thanks for the super chat, Michael. I'm fine with getting some of that. I have no problem with that. I don't want to overload it, but yeah, you don't need it. Anyway, with Tesla, I would feel a little differently, and I know he's very cheap, right? And I do think he's a good player. The dude makes every catch he has is highlight reel stuff. It's really crazy. However, you still have Gibbs, Montgomery, St. Brown, Williams, who outside of one big play has been very quiet through 2 weeks. Laporta, they're still running Khalif Raymond out there for a lot of snaps. And then you've got these guys that pop up out of the woodwork like Brock Wright from time to time. So obviously I'm not putting him in the same category, but you have like 6 legitimate offensive contributors ahead of Isaac Tesla. So could he do it tonight, Spags? Sure. It's going to need to be on like 1 or 2 plays though. I can't. Are we seeing this differently, or can you see like a world where he has 5 or 6 targets?
I mean, like he took a gigantic increase. Like if you want to be technical about it, he did 5x his snap share from week 2 to week 1.
How much of that was garbage time?
Yeah, that's true. And and week 1 it was all garbage time too. So like he was barely he could have been an inactive week 1 technically. But yeah, I mean Raymond played 30 snaps last week. He did come down from 44 in week 1. So it is a shift for less Raymond, more Tesla, but not enough to feel great about it. And I still think Jameson Williams is due for more target share in this offense. He's playing a ton of snaps per game, playing 50 and 56 and a half. 58.5 overall. So actually more technically than Amon-Ra St. Brown has played per game so far. But he's only being targeted 13.5% of the time he's running a route. For comparison, Amon-Ra St. Brown's getting targeted 25% of the time. Laporte is getting targeted 22. Even Brock Wright's getting targeted 27% of the time he's running a route. So like Jameson's going to get more work. If JMO gets more work, there's less to go to Slaw's way. So I'm playing him. Like I'm playing him some here because he's one way to get unique on the slate. But I played the same amount of Khalif Raymond as I did Tesla because I think people will probably go Tesla a little bit more because they want to play him. They want to play the buzzy rookies, and he's one of them.
Let's go to the Sims here. I want to see how much of Tesla we have. We have, all right, 18% at flex. That's doable. Do we have any at captain? One lineup out of 1. Yeah. Okay. So 1, 2, 3 lineups, depending on what you're running your settings at. I ran it at 25,000 in the contest generator, 25% to first. A lot of Lamar at captain, Derrick Henry, no surprise. St. Brown, Flowers, Gibbs. The one guy I want to talk about a little bit, and if you guys have questions, as always, hit us up in chat. Let us know, right? That's what Live Before Lock is for. We have the strategy show in the morning. Live Before Lock is for us to just cover all of our bases as we, draw closer to 8:50. We got 43 minutes till kickoff. So if you have questions, let us know. There's no stupid questions, but there are. All right. So with David Montgomery, this is the type of team that I know I've said it a couple times, so forgive me, but like they could go have a long sustained drive, like a 12, 13 play drive. And if Montgomery's running hot, they'll just leave him out there. And that's the interesting thing about this backfield, right? Is that Gibbs is clearly the better player. We know that, younger, better, quicker, but Montgomery can still score touchdowns and he's still 6,200. I was going to say he's not all that dissimilar to Henry. Like talent wise, he is, but Derrick Henry is also touchdown dependent because it's very scarcely use him in the passing game. So should Derrick Henry be more expensive than Yeah, obviously. But $6,200 on Montgomery in a 53.5 total game, I just have to get there.
Yeah, it's jarring how much they're using Montgomery because in just pure snap count, he's actually getting relatively the same snaps per game as Justice Hill
Yeah.
is. He's getting 24 snaps per game. Justice Hill's getting 22.5. But the thing is, they feed Montgomery the ball. Right now, 56% of the time he's getting a snap. They're giving him the ball, which is a pretty high rate, higher than a bell cow back would be. They're getting him in there to give him the ball. He's getting 3.5 red zone opportunities a game, 2 inside the 10-yard line per game through the first 2 weeks. So like he's really involved in a way, even more involved than Jahmyr Gibbs, getting 2x the touches inside the 10-yard line as Jahmyr Gibbs is right now. So I'm with you. I think Montgomery is a very strong play. Saw some highly sim lineups with Montgomery and Laporta, Montgomery and Jameson Williams being your only Lions. I like those kind of builds. But I agree with you. Montgomery, I think, just being so much cheaper, he's definitely like on the field less than Gibbs. He's not nearly as involved in the pass game, with Gibbs getting 6.5 targets per game compared to 2.5 for David Montgomery. But relative to just the pure snap shares, he's getting targeted, getting touched every time he's on the field relative to anybody else in this game.
Right. Exactly. And I'm actually okay with running some lineups with Montgomery and Gibbs in them, honestly. Like,
Me too.
I don't hate that. If you think about it, Gibbs is expensive, rightfully so. 15 and 19 touches over his first 2 games. One was a 10 target. He has 13 receptions on 13 targets, in case you guys were wondering. He has converted every single of his 13 targets into a reception. On the ground, 9 and 12. The 9, whatever, they're playing from behind. David Montgomery, in that same game, Gibbs had 10 targets. Montgomery had 4 receptions on 4 targets too, and 11 carries. 11 attempts last game as well. So you're talking 12 and 15 looks or opportunities in that one. If this ends up being a competitive game, where it's like a pretty neutral game script, or even if they're playing slightly from behind, you could still be looking at like a 15-15 touch split. And if that's the case, given that Montgomery is as cheap as he is, it doesn't dissuade me from getting there. If I told you, hey, Montgomery's 9K, I'm not playing him and Gibbs together. They cannibalize too much of each other's production. But the fact that Montgomery is, I personally think he should not be priced like one of the backup quarterbacks. He just makes for a good value. And I think you can play him with Gibbs.
Yeah, I think somebody in the chat's asking, like, playing Montgomery at captain with Gibbs in the flex. I might get a little tough. Like, if you're 150 maxing, I wouldn't hate doing that. Because he does eat. Like, if Montgomery has a decent day, he's absolutely eating from Gibbs's plate. But in terms of them both making the flex, Gibbs has enough PPR scamming him. The amount of work he's getting there, he's being targeted 31% of the time he's running a route, which is like very good for an alpha receiver, let alone a running back. For Gibbs, I think you could play both guys in the flex, but one at captain, I'd be willing to play Gibbs at captain with Montgomery in the flex, but I don't think the inverse, at least for me.
That's what I was going to say. If I was going to do it, it would be Gibbs captain, Montgomery flex, because Gibbs is a lot more game script proof than Montgomery is. So, like Montgomery could still score and have 80 yards, and Gibbs could still have Gibbs is going to be involved in the passing game regardless, is what I'm saying. And Montgomery probably less likely unless you're playing from behind. So yeah, I'm with you on that one. Trey, I can already see the PI call at the 1 and Montgomery getting a touch. It's very possible, dude. Yeah, very possible. I mean, Montgomery's touchdown odds have to be, I don't know, like we could pull it up, but probably like close to even money?
I don't know if it's that good because
plus 130 maybe.
Let's see. I'm going to look it up. I don't know if it's going to be fast enough to make for snappy conversation.
I got it. Dude, OddsShopper, we just updated everything. This is moving so quickly now.
-1. No, this is rushing yards. Never mind. Sorry.
Plus 120.
I'm using an AI tool for it, and I was trying to beat you, but I'm going to fail. I'm going to lose to OddsShopper.
Well, that's good. That's the OddsShopper live odds tool that we're talking about here, and I had to pull it up, and so that's good. That's good organic marketing there. Use the live odds tool. That's what you should do. But yeah, plus 120, dude. Not bad.
Yeah.
So it's pretty good. Gibbs is probably, what's Gibbs? -150? -135.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's crazy that you've got Gibbs at -135, Montgomery at plus 120. I'm on St. Brown at plus 110. Okay. Sam Laporta is plus 230, 2 plus 2. That's probably my favorite touchdown bet, plus 245 on Laporta.
Wow. He's lower than Mark Andrews because Andrews was plus 200 this morning. I assume he didn't move that much.
And the odds are even shorter on Andrews now in some books, like FanDuel's at plus 185. I saw Bet365, they were plus 140.
That's crazy. I'm surprised to see Laporta be that much. I mean, Andrews definitely is due for a touchdown more than he is like an actual good game, but Laporta's been involved. I'm surprised Andrews has that much more favorable odds.
Probably just because they're 4.5-point favorites,
Yeah,
but
that's true.
Still, Jameson's at plus 240. All of those guys are very live to score is what we're getting at here. So I like Laporta. I'm cool with Laporta in the flex. I mentioned it to you. I don't know where you stand there, but I mentioned it at the top of the show. Like Laporta at the flex, or I'm sorry, a captain, sorry. If he had a 2-touchdown game, no one's going to bat an eye at that. He could absolutely do that on any given day. And then he could go 5 games without a touchdown.
Yeah, that is the yin and yang of Laporta, especially in year 2, where his rookie year, it felt like he was getting there very often. Year 2, it was like he'd be a ghost, then he spikes in a huge way, ghost spikes in a huge way. It's a new offensive coordinator, so that might not carry over as much as I would like to. Where it's kind of predictable last year. The guys would ping pong back and forth. If you had a good Amon-Ra game one week, you would have a good Jameson Williams game the next week. You had a good Gibbs game one week, you had a good Montgomery game the next time out. For this year, I'm not as sold, but I agree with you on Laporta's upside being huge. He's my 6th highest exposed guy in the slate, so I definitely went heavy Laporta today.
Hey, by the way, speaking of touchdown odds, Spags, Ben and I have we hit a 4-leg anytime touchdown parlay on the 1 o'clock or on the opening slate, and then ran it back with a Sunday night anytime touchdown parlay. Cam Scatterboo, Tyquan Thornton. Bang that one out at 15-1 with the boost on FanDuel. So we decided to run it back today over on Tails. If you guys aren't here yet, seriously, first of all, we need 63 likes on this post over on Tails. Hit that flame emoji. That's going to get us to open another one up to get to 200 likes. I know it's a lofty goal, but I also know you guys are fantastic people. And I know many of you are already over on Tails because all of the bets there and all of the DFS content we post there, particularly lineups from the Sims, from the single lineup Sims, from all of our videos, is 100% free. So while you're building lineups and listening to this show, and you look at that link down there in the description, right? If you have yet, so you see where it says follow Loughy on Tails, go in, give me a follow, and go to Ben and like that and follow Ben. If you don't mind, it'd be huge. Jake, I know you'll do it. Jake, do it. That's a good one. Lofty goal. I know we got people in here. I know we got 63 people who got a couple minutes in their day. Plus, you should just want to be over there. This is something, Spags, I wanted to show you too, that we are, this will be released to the public very shortly. We AI map everything now. So if you can see this Laporta Andrews parlay that we have for tonight, Ben and I were running the collab back, trying to keep this heater alive. Now you can just post a screenshot. AI maps it with the odds. You click tail, and then it'll pull up the bet for you, and it'll put it straight to wherever you want. So that is pretty sweet, man. Like you could just put it, and then what it'll do is it'll pull up every sports book, and you can select the one you want to bet it on. It'll add it straight in your bet slip. So everything's AI mapped. You don't have to manually type. You don't have to go to FanDuel anymore and find Laporta and Andrews. If someone posts a screenshot of their bet, it goes straight in. That's pretty sweet, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, not a lot of products out there are doing it. It's definitely a thing to keep up. And with the people on there and with how many providers you have on Tails, you're going to be able to transact some bets pretty quickly. And that's really the main goal of having those kind of tools and the AI implementation for betting stuff with actual human components too. You're not just tailing AI, which is positive.
For sure. Yeah, we're certainly not the first and only ones to do it. But this platform is going to be one of its kind. So come over, hang out. All the bets are free. Create a free account and get that to 200. We are 61 away. So that'd be awesome. Forget about the thumbs up on this video. Let's do it over there. Anyway,
do both. just click both. One after the other. Do both. Don't let them off the hook.
Plus, Ben's the man over there. But yeah, appreciate you guys. And honestly, you'll want to go over there. It's really cool. I hit the AJ Brown 100-yard ladder yesterday too. So big stuff happening in those streets. Let's keep the wave going. Until it crashes, we're just going to keep riding it. That's the way I see it. Anyway, if you look at the lineups we've got here, right? And I'll bring this in a little so you guys can see it. The most duped lineups that we have here's the most duped lineup in the sims. Okay, so we sim this. This is a 25,000 field, 97 dupes, which means it's going to be duped a lot more than that in the main contest because it's bigger than 25,000 entries. Lamar, Goff, Andrews, Bateman, Laporta, and Flowers. Interesting, given that there's actually, you're leaving Gibbs and Montgomery and Amon-Ra and Derrick Henry out of that. And then Spags, Lamar, St. Brown, Andrews, Bateman, Tyler Loop, and Flowers. That build with the Lamar Jackson at captain seems to be, look, almost everyone so far outside of that one Bateman lineup of the top duped lineups is Lamar Jackson at captain.
Yeah, I mean, he's a very obvious captain in terms of the data. I mean, frankly, surprised he's not a little bit higher in the ownership projections, but you do have enough options to go to in terms of, star players on this slate that I could see how that wouldn't work out that way. But Lamar, projection-wise, is so far ahead of everybody else. Like, you have a pretty concentrated second tier of guys around, 17, 18 points in Stokastic's data. But then for Lamar, you have him at, a 24 and change. He is in a tier all to himself, and he deserves the ownership, but you really have to be creative playing him. You got to leave salary on the table. And even that one, the top one, is 49.3, and it's still that many dupes is kind of crazy to see.
It's very crazy to see. So going back to this too, I'm looking at our highest simmed ROI lineups. This one, our top lineup actually does have Montgomery in it right now. And we're simming this tens of thousands of times, right? To see what the simulated ROI is on not only the individual players, but the lineups themselves. It's actually a Detroit 5-1. And look, it's not lost on me. That's because a lot of people aren't going to want to run 5-1 Detroit lineups. But if I was going to run one, I don't mind this at all. St. Brown, Montgomery, Goff, Lions, Laporta, and Flowers. I mean, you're literally playing that for a Lions blowout. How many people are building lineups? And I'm not saying you have to, but how many people are building lineups for a Lions blowout tonight?
Not enough. I mean, I can tell you there's been times on Monday Night Football that I had one really good run where I had like a six-way chop for first place on a showdown a couple of years ago. And then I was actually playing like really contrarian for a few weeks. And I would play these like inverted 5-1s where underdog 5-1 onslaught builds. And I'll tell you, it was like top DFS players every week were playing like your Ricky D types back in the day when he was on his crazy showdown heater, playing 5-1s from the inverse seam. Like it happens, it hits more than people realize. And in games like this, especially where everyone's expecting a competitive spot, if you hit that 5-1, you're going to be much more alone on it than you would be on some other slates.
We had another question too. And again, you guys have decent questions. I'm happy to let you know. This is a good one. Ryan, what's the best Laporta captain lineups? Let's see. So we'll go in here, filter. We're going to go captain contains Laporta. For those of you guys who are new to the tools, this will be a little tutorial for you as well. All right, here you go. 3-3 is our best one, and it sims out very nicely. We also have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 Laporta captain lineups out of 150. Laporta, Gibbs, Bates, Lamar, Andrews, and Flowers. Laporta, St. Brown, Montgomery, Goff, Lamar, and Lions. Do you have any specific ways that you're building out Laporta captain lineups, or better yet, cheap captain lineups, be it Laporta, Bateman, any of the guys we might not have touched on yet?
I mean, I'm definitely cramming in more of the studs if I am going to Laporta or a Bateman at captain. I definitely had more of a lean towards Bateman, but the Laporta lineups to me, I think you probably want to have less of the pass catchers for sure. I also, frankly, left a lot of Jared Goff off of teams on the slate. I just feel like he's the one guy with all the skill position guys very closely projected to him. I think it's a slate where you can get away from playing two QBs as much as you might on some other showdown slates. For Laporta, if he's a captain, I think you'd still want to play Goff with him. So that would be a part that I would try to have in there. But I would be more inclined to fade an Amon-Ra, at least one of Amon-Ra or Jameson Williams. Like, I'm not going to play the passing attack that much if Laporta is going to get there, because if he hits a captain, he probably took meaningful yardage and touchdowns away from the other guys, and they're not going to hit at their price tags if they don't get a touchdown or 100 yards, something like that.
For sure. Another good one here, Spags. Where is it? Let me pull this up. Yeah, from Doug saying that's 100% my strategy. He's talking about going with, like, in a spot like this, a Lions type onslaught. I might be wrong most of the time, but if I'm right about the Lions smashing, 70% of the field might be dust because of it. Now I have fewer to beat. Yeah, I mean, so Morgan we had a Stokastic sub take down the Millie yesterday on FanDuel, and I interviewed Morgan about a month ago. And the first thing he said was like, he goes, yeah, I use these tools often as a way to see where the field is going. And in doing so, it allows me to know where I can be wrong a lot. And I'm paraphrasing, right? I might be butchering the way he said it, but like I know I'm going to be wrong a lot. I know I'm going to zero out some lineups, but when I'm right, I'm going to get paid much bigger than if I'm just with the field. And, you know, he took down the MLB mains event in late August. He just won the Millie yesterday. And I remember him DMing me. I don't think he'd mind that I share this. A few days after we recorded the interview, and he's like, dude, I think I've lost everything on every slate for the past 7 days. And then he comes and wins a Millie. So it's just like, you have to have a tolerance for it. But yeah, dude, look at the lineup he took it down with too. This was yesterday. This was not a strange lineup. It was not a super contrarian lineup. This was Caleb Williams, Jonathan Taylor, Jordan Mason, Nico, Garrett Wilson, Ricky Pearsall, Trey McBride, and I don't know who the flex was, but Minnesota defense. Like, that is not a weird lineup at all. It was just getting to good players that weren't as popular in Nico Collins and specifically Garrett Wilson.
Yeah, I mean, that's the approach sometimes, and it's definitely easy to overthink it. And like you were saying too, like I think it comes down to appetite for risk. Like that lineup, I think he's definitely cutting closer to the cloth. But for showdowns, like if you could withstand, losses over and over and over again, always play the inverse 5-1s, 4-2s. Like if you really want to do it that way, because when you do hit, you'll hit for all the money and you'll lose a lot. But generally you want to have that V curve of your sim distribution. They win when they win everything. Then they're kind of in the middle, not doing a lot, and then when they lose everything. And unfortunately, that's the way you kind of have to play.
Yeah, there he is. What's up, Morgan? Congrats again, brother. He said Roma Dunze in the flex. Okay. With Viking. Yeah, I figured it was Vikings defense as well. Can we talk about some value options here that you may be getting to?
Yeah.
Sure. Floor's yours, man. I'm curious to see if there's any good value that stands out amongst others.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I'm probably the most intrigued by a few guys down the food chain. And, there's a lot of guys you make the case for, like Tez Walker, you've seen score touchdowns this year, even though, the role is not huge for him overall. Tylan Wallace has scored a touchdown. We've seen that, not to make it all Ravens guys, but these are players people may look at for a little bit. In terms of guys having like meaningful roles, being out there a good amount, I mentioned Charlie Kolar in the beginning. He is not a fun play. He actually doesn't have a target on the year. So it's a brave tout for me because there's really no reason to feel good about him based on what he's done so far this year. But he's playing 32 snaps a game. There's a lot of 12 personnel for this team, likely still not in. So Kolar, at being $600, I think stands out to me as a player that has some opportunity to get there and has a better projection than Brock Wright at about $1,800 less. So Kolar is one I tried to get in a little bit. Tesla, we talked about already. He's 1,200. He definitely stands to keep rising overall in terms of snap share. Took the big 5x jump last week, but still only playing 17 snaps. If he gets to 2025 here, you're talking about him getting really close to where Khalif Raymond is. So Tesla, I think, is the guy. Bateman at 4K, if he counts the value, I think he is like a shoe-in kind of guy who should be in a lot of lineups just based on the fact he's playing a bunch. But Justice Hill still in the mix for me too. He definitely plays when Derrick Henry has bad days. You have a better shot at a good Justice Hill day. And he's been awful to start the year, but he's been so bad that he probably is due for one good day to make up for how inefficient he's been. So Justice Hill in play. But I don't know, Loughy, do you have a lean between them? Because I just tried to kind of get different looks with all these guys for the most part. But if you have a one value guy you're looking forward to, you're going to be different than me.
So I'm over on our sponsor, Epic's app, looking at rushing plus receiving for some of these guys. Justice Hill's at 29.5. And that's not that bad for a guy who's that cheap. I mean, you're talking about Justice Hill being priced at $2,800. A lot of times the guys down there don't even have props. And if they do, it's like 10.5 yards. But he's 29.5 yards over on Epic. I'm looking at some of these. I mean, Derrick Henry rushing plus receiving 92.5. Montgomery only 53.5. They already got a couple up for the Thursday night football game as well. Oh, is there a London game this Sunday?
Ireland.
Oh, it's Ireland. Huh?
Yeah, because the Steelers, because Rooney has to, he's like, there's a lot of Irish people in my area here. Actually, one of our better parent friends, the dad's Irish, love him, great guy. Irish people are so fucking into Ireland. Like they're so obsessed. Like get over it. Get over it with Ireland a little bit.
You think Americans are into them? I guess it depends. Some Americans hate America and others love it.
Well, yeah, it's true. But it's like there's an SNL skit, I think, some point within the last couple of years that went viral at some point. And it's like, people from how they imagine they would be when they go back to the country that their ethnicity is from as an American. It's like, oh, yeah, like, oh, wait a minute, you're an O'Connell? Oh, there's an O'Connell here as well. And it's like, it's not. Anyway, there's a game in Ireland, but fuck all you.
Okay. All right. I'm Irish, man. Watch what you say. No, I don't identify with any of that stuff. I've never been there, and it doesn't really matter. But you're not fully wrong. Anyway,
thank you.
I kind of think Justice Hill could be sneaky today. I was over looking at our other tools because we have the sims, we have the single lineup sims, but we also have the top single game showdown, like the top plays tool. And we actually have Hill positively leveraged in the flex. And you have a lot of these guys that a couple of them are like 2% positive leverage in the flex, but Hill is still, there's a lot of negatively leveraged people. Okay. Players. Hill is still positively leveraged in the flex, 25% optimal in the utility spot, 24% ownership. It's not moving the needle for me. What it is saying is, look, at this guy's price point, he's a perfectly reasonable play. And if you want to look at some of the other cheap options, right? Like get these guys out of here. But if you're going down here into the Tesla, he's positively leveraged. Why not? He's super cheap. Guy's talented, might get an end zone target. Devontae Walker, a little bit positive leverage, but also keep this in mind, 1.8% or 3% optimal in the utility. So that's not exactly saying much. But, you look at the price points, and Justice Hill at his price, similar to Khalif Raymond and Brock Wright, in that range, Tylan Wallace, all of these guys, there's no Isaiah Likely today. Lions defense, that doesn't look great. I think if you're going sub, 4K, I think Justice Hill is the best sub 4K player on the slate.
And I will say people are probably off his scent a little bit because Derrick Henry was so bad last week. And that usually means Justice Hill has like kind of a shot at coming along. And he is not. I mean, but Hill is really, he's been your third and long back. Like Derrick Henry has never had a great pass game role going back to last year for Baltimore. But this year he's only averaging 0.5 targets a game. So he's only had one so far. Justice Hill averaging 2.5 through the two games. Like the role is there for him. He just hasn't been good with it. And certainly if you get in the right game script, especially if the Ravens are behind or just in a lot of third longs, Lamar takes a lot of sacks. Justice Hill is going to be out there, whether he does anything with it or not. We'll see. But there's like a very particular game script where he gets out there a good amount, and that is a way to win money.
If you're talking about this mid-range where we get into the Sam Laportas, right? And here we go. Sam Laporta, this is the dead zone typically because they price all the backup quarterbacks at the same. But you get into this spot, you could even throw like the Andrews and the Hopkins in there as well. Do you have to me, my preference is Laporta. I don't know if Mark Andrews is dust or not. At this rate, I really have no clue. But 4,400 on a showdown slate with a 53.5 point total, it'd be criminal of me not to take some shots on a guy like him.
Yeah, I don't love Mark Andrews as captain because he really hasn't been getting targeted well at all so far. Only 2 targets a game, a 10.5% target per out run rate. When you see numbers that low, it can mean that he's due for a bounce back. He's also played like remarkably inefficiently so far. He's got a negative 1.1 EPA per target, which basically means, if you're not familiar, he's given away roughly 1 point every time they try to throw him the ball because of how poorly he has played in those situations. It could be him carrying forward that negative momentum from the playoffs that everybody kind of made. People got down on Mark Andrews in the offseason because of him dropping that pass in the playoffs and having that catastrophic kind of ends the season. But it's carrying on to this year. I would still think you're better off buying into him being a little bit better because he's not even getting targeted. He's still getting 1 red zone target a game. And that's also been inside the 10-yard line, getting 1 red zone, 1 target a game. So like there's opportunity for Andrews, but if you want to say he's washed, I don't think you look at the numbers and argue it too much from 2 games.
Yeah. I mean, I'm certainly not arguing it too much, but I'm not convinced that he's still good.
Yeah, I don't think he has ceiling upside to hit captain personally, but if he did hit it, I wouldn't be shocked because the price point allows you to jam everybody in. So if you get that right, a lot of the field's going to feel the same way that, Loughy and I would, that you guys would in chat. Like he's been dog shit this year. So people just won't want to play him, even though we know that he does have some historical ceiling.
Do you have any interest in defense?
The Sims, I think, give me no choice, but I think
with the most recent update, I'm getting a lot less though, for what it's worth.
Okay, so yeah, it came down a little bit in the sim that we ran right as my dog she just wants to be on camera. Luca was on camera yesterday on the show, so now the dog needs her time as well. She's like moved up here and like here's her fucking.
Oh yeah, she is. Bring her on up.
Here, you want to be on camera here? Here's Kitty the dog, who is no longer cat size, but she's only 8 months and has grown like Clifford the big red dog.
Oh man, when you do that and those claws start digging into the back, it hurts.
Yeah, she's being trimmed. Like I've actually been maintaining her better than our last round of dogs, but just a pain in the ass. Fucking clingiest dog in the world.
Cute pup.
Thank you. I appreciate that. But yeah, point being for the defenses, they're coming up now a reasonable amount. This morning in the Sims, they were coming up pretty much endlessly. Now it seems like they're coming in a respectable 15 to 20%. Feels right for the Ravens. 10 or so for me for the Lions feels right. But I don't think you should have none on the slate, especially if you're 20 maxing, 150 maxing, because they're just going to get underplayed. And all it takes is a couple sacks of Lamar. Something turns into a pick 6 for Jared Goff. Return touchdowns also are definitely more in play this year, it seems like. So the defenses, it might not be fun to click, but that might be the way you get unique without really getting crazy in a lineup.
I can tell you right now, I will have some of it. I don't want Ravens D at captain, but I still think Ravens D at flex is logical. Here's my theory on all of this. You saw the Lions in week 1. They looked abysmal, right? You're like, oh man, new coordinators on both sides of the ball. Doesn't look great. But then, and for what it's worth, I'll put my money where my mouth is, laid the points on the Lions in week 2. They come in and they rout Chicago. They're probably somewhere in between that right now. And you get them going into Baltimore. You mentioned it when we were just shooting the breeze before the show. Not a cold game. It's not a cold game at Lambeau or Baltimore, Philly, or any of that, right? But it's also on the road, outside of a dome. And Jared Goff has at times struggled there. So who knows? You're missing some quality pass rushers for Baltimore. Detroit's got a couple injured guys as well on the defense. Does it make a difference? Does Jared Goff have more time to throw? Because you're talking night and day. Week 1, he was pressured almost 40% of the time. Pretty good pass rush for Green Bay. Week 2, 13% pressure rate for Jared Goff. But I think Baltimore's still a pretty good front. Like their front's pretty decent. And I still don't know what to expect from Detroit after losing 2 key offensive linemen over the summer. Like that's my thing. Does that become more evident when you face better defenses?
Yeah, I think it's definitely a good question. Baltimore not blitzing at a crazy high rate so far, only 15.5%, but they are historically a defense that can ramp it up depending on the matchup. And certainly, the upsides there. They have been a ball hawking defense, even though they haven't been so much for the year. But even the Lions defense, like just to make the case for defenses overall, Lamar's seeing pressure on 45.5% of dropbacks right now, getting sacked about 11% of the time. Obviously, that's him playing at least one tough matchup amidst that. And, I guess you can make the case too, technically, even though the total wasn't that great in week 2. For Lamar, I think there's a chance that Detroit could make it a little bit tougher on him because it's a really high pressure rate through 2 weeks. And for Lamar, he does play that playground ball, oftentimes for the better, but sometimes for the worse, where he'll take a 10-yard sack for no reason whatsoever. I think both defenses have a case, certainly a better case for the Ravens, though, like you talked about.
Hey, by the way, Spags, we've talked about it before, but Epic, sponsor of this show. I know a lot of you guys have already jumped over there, as you should, for 2 reasons. 2 real primary reasons. One, you're not going to get limited on there because everything they have is peer-to-peer. You see it on the screen right now. They have the Pick'em, just as a lot of apps do. Here's what they have that no one else has. You can play the Fade'em mode. So, like, let's say Spags knew of some very square people over there throwing in their parlays and their bets over and pick them. He can come in on the fade them and match those and fade those and win money if they lose. That is such a sick feature, man. If you fancy yourself even a moderately sharp person, right? Call it better, call it DFS player, whatever you want, right? If you assume that you understand EV or just any of this better than somebody else, this is absolutely a place where you can make real money. If you use the code odds1, you're getting 100% deposit bonus up to $50, first of all. Second of all, they've got the tournament in 50-50 mode. So you can go in and essentially play GPPs in the same style you would anywhere else. Except, again, there's a lot to figure out with these styles. And if you're sharp, you're going to have an edge, particularly in the Fatum, where we can play in Pennsylvania, by the way, Spag. We have no other pick'em sites that we can play in PA.
It's a nice deal for us.
Yeah, absolutely. So check it out. Odds1, links down there. Download the Epic app. Use Odds1. Get 100% deposit bonus up to $50. And, Matt Downs, who created this app and all of this, he's like, I know him. We've spoken many times. This is a sharp guy. And this is someone that's building this who actually understands how these apps should be built and how these games should be played. To me, there's no better endorsement than that, right? Absolutely not. And one other thing, all these other pick'em sites, because it's against the house, their payouts are nowhere near what Epic's. You can provide better payouts when it's peer-to-peer. You can provide the ability to not limit players when it's peer-to-peer. So all of those advantages go to us and not whoever's behind the scenes on these apps like Epic. So use Odds1, 100% deposit bonus up to $50. Check it out. Get in there. Start fading some plays as well. Look, that might be more fun than actually making the picks yourself. Anyway, check it out. Awesome app. I think you guys will very much love it. Okay, here's what I wanted to get into a little bit. We still got 10 minutes to go. I just uploaded my lineups. I'm getting better at this, Spags, doing it on the fly.
I could tell. I mean, you're running things cleanly. You're putting the graphics up, which is also nice too, because we don't have to pay attention.
Yeah. Right, like when I'm talking.
Yeah, I just kind of look at whatever. I can look at my phone. I could do some Wordle. I could do whatever.
Yeah, dude, crush the rest of that banquet beer.
Yeah, I was doing some beer bongs while Loughy was doing the Epic read. I was just so excited to go against you idiots out there placing bad lines on Epic that I had to rip some.
All right, let's go to some good questions here. Is it really worth leaving salary tonight? Look, yeah, there are nights where it may be less relevant, but I would say any night is still a viable approach to leave salary. I'm looking at some of our, hold on, let me pull this Laporta out. Some of our highest simmed lineups, and 1,400, 3,900, 300, 400, 900, 600, 800. Here's one, 4,300. So yes, there is an argument to be made for doing that. And if I were to tell you this lineup, Spags, was leaving over 4,000 on the table, Lamar, Montgomery, Andrews, Bateman, Loop, and Zay Flowers, that doesn't scare me at all. I mean, sure, there's a few guys you're not getting to, but that's not a bad lineup.
I mean, I have a few where I left 5,000. Wow. I think it's very possible to leave a lot on the slate, and in particular because you have so many high-priced guys where if they fail, it benefits other guys who are pretty cheap. So you could result in a build where you leave 2,500 right away from an Amon-Ra pivot to Jameson Williams. If you go from Amon-Ra to Laporta, you're talking about leaving that 5K right away. So yeah, you could definitely leave a lot of money on the table. And in general, your first lever for uniqueness on any showdown slate is just leaving money on the table.
And then another question we had, toss this one over to you, was where is it? Dirty O, Lions onslaught with Justice Hill is logical. Yeah, I mean, look, weird things happen. Jake, doesn't Baltimore have a lot of injuries on defense? Yeah, Detroit's got a couple too. Someone asked, here it was Michelle. Hey, Michelle. Spags, do you need both quarterbacks tonight in your lineup? Or your Lyra?
No, I faded Jared Goff a lot. I mean, look, I think you want to play Lamar in more lineups than not. I did, somebody in the chat asked, because I mentioned on my Splash Play channel this morning, I did put in the quarter. I just did a 20 max for that, where I just flat faded Lamar to give me some look on those lineups, because I didn't have to pour through and find lineups that didn't have Lamar. I just kind of took the best 20 ones I had that didn't have Lamar. But I think in general, I want to play Lamar, really comfortable not playing Goff in lineups, which maybe will be my undoing, but I think it's very possible you end up his receivers outscoring him, maybe multiple of them, to be honest.
What do you think about what Doug said? Because I do see people talk about this in showdown slates. He said, I love correlating cheap enough return men with their DST. Clearly, he's talking about guys that can, also catch a pass or two. Do you think the juice is worth the squeeze in a sense like that to force in the correlation?
I don't go out of my way to do that. I certainly get why you would. Like, I guess it's possible that it could win a little bit more. But frankly, like, you have different returners sometimes for kick returns and punt returns. Like, I think if you're trying to boost Tylan Wallace with the Ravens, that's a little more of a clear cut returning situation. He does get out there occasionally for a route. But it's not the way I want to play usually. I just think people get too cute with that. And like we saw last week on Thursday, Loughy, I don't know if you recall this, for the morning video we did, there's a guy who recommended Jackson Hawes and was like, he's going to get a touchdown today. Jackson Hawes got a touchdown, still didn't make a winning lineup, even though he caught a touchdown. It'd be the same thing for a returner. So it might help sometimes. It doesn't always help. I don't think you have to capture the return touchdown every time.
It is very much a problem if you have a high scoring game where the one reception for 6 yards and a touchdown it can also not get you there, even if they're dirt cheap. And similarly with a returner, that happened the other day too. Happened Thursday, and there was another slate that it happened on as well. I forget who it was, but it happens a lot. You're right. It happens more than enough. I'm not saying it's a bad move. I'm just not doing it just so I can. Like, I'm not doing it just to do it. If I'm already intending on playing some of those guys, playing them together makes sense. But I'm not going to jam a guy with the defense just because. Timothy Lee, do we have any plays of the day? I'll give you my lowish owned captain that I think is interesting, and it's going to be 5% owned Laporta, a captain.
Oh, I like that one. Yeah, I mean, I definitely played a good amount of Laporta captain. I think more than the field for sure. My plays of the day were mostly just trying to make sure Lamar was in lineups in intelligent ways. I like Zay Flowers a good amount. These are not brave takes. But in terms of like shitty players, I guess Bateman would be my play of the day. The guy hasn't gotten results lately. I don't think he's a shitty play. But just, we talked about in the beginning, it just doesn't make sense where his price tag is for how much he's on the field. And the fact that he played really well last year. 2 bad games don't a bad player make. So I think Bateman would technically be, I don't want to take a shitty guy though for the play of the day, but I think he would be the one.
Well, you kind of have to, right? It's more fun that way, I think.
That's true. Derrick Henry, play of the day.
Isn't it more fun that way to have? Yeah, right. Give me Lamar at captain. I don't know.
I got a spicy take for you boys.
Yeah. And we should do it. And then I'll be like, wow, yeah, now that you mention it, that makes sense.
A lot of people out there in the industry aren't talking about Lamar Jackson at captain on the slate, but here at Stokastic, we're willing to tell you that he might be a good play today.
Yeah, what got you on Lamar Jackson tonight? That's ridiculous.
He's starting to run just a little bit more, and that's
yeah. Oh, he's getting steamed. Swaggy, what about D-Hop? I don't know. Nuke is. We talked about it at the top of the show. If you want to take some shots there, I mean, like, is he just Isaac Tesla on the Ravens right now? Seriously, are they not just the same player except one of them is $3,600 more?
One of them, I think, has a better role because, like, Hopkins is playing right now fancy Nelson Aguilar. And that's been a thing that's been there for years for the Ravens. So I would say, just like for price, I think you're right. But relative to just what the roles are, I think Hopkins does have a better role. But, snap count technically does favor Tesla, and that's already in week 2.
Doug, this is a fun question. How long into a game do you wait to start checking your lineups? I hold off until halftime at least, or I'm just hitting refresh. I hold off until about late fourth quarter. And the reason I do this is because I already have my exposures in my head. I typically know if it's going poorly or if there's a shot, right? Yesterday I was wrong and I checked and I was up top in the lotto right after the Thornton touchdown that got called back to the one. And my dumbass checked it. Dude, first time I looked all game. I was chopping with one other person. And I look at it and I'm like, oh my God, like there's a shot. And then I just watch it fall down the 17th and I'm like, no. But
that's a tough sweat. That's a tough sweat. I mean, look, I check it the minute the slate locks. So I'm more on that team. Like last year, the first game of the year, I think it was, or one of them with Aaron Rodgers I guess that's 2 years ago now, when he tore his Achilles at the beginning of the year, I had a team that was somehow unduped in the Millie Maker. And I had faded Rodgers and like also faded Garrett Wilson. He He got there with like a Zach Wilson touchdown and it ended up hurting. But I was in first place solo for like 3 quarters. I enjoy that process, so I do it. But it is, if your mental health is not strong with your gambling, don't look at your lineup. I think what you're doing, look the next morning. Like I think is
mine's strong, but it's strong in the sense that I'm cognizant of what's just easier for me. That's all it is. Like I can, I've been sweating DFS and bets forever. Like what I'm saying is I know for the most part if things are going well or not. I always check lineups to see what ownership is once it goes off, like once it starts. But then I just sit back and I try to watch the game. That's just where I'm at.
I'm paying for the moments of swings and hating players and rooting for players, then being like, oh, this lineup now is bubbling up. That's what that's the freight of admission for me. So I like it that way. But the healthiest people I know gambling wise, like Josh doesn't even look at stuff until the next morning. Like I think that's the optimal approach if you could do it. Yeah.
And you know what? Like, I don't even know if it's optimal. It's just a preference thing. If you enjoy that, like do it. Like, you know what I mean? If you're somebody that enjoys the thrill of seeing yourself bounce back and forth, up and down the rungs of the ladder for 3 straight hours, go for it. For me, I'm just, I'd rather be surprised with a little treat. Or here's the good thing. Like if I never checked yesterday, I never would have known that Thornton callback knocked me out. Like that's the other benefit. Like you can avoid knowing what could have been. And I've had people DM me be like, yo, Loughy, I'm sorry. That sucks, dude. And I go, what do you mean? And they go, well, you were in first place up until the last play of the game on the 425 slate. I'm like, I did not want to know that,
See, I want to know it because I remember him. Like I remember when I had a big basketball near win at one point. It was like sweating out Rudy Gobert in the 4th quarter. When I had one of my bigger DFS wins in NBA, I was like sweating Jason Tatum putting up a lot of points in the first round of a playoff game. Didn't matter. It's like I remember the stuff really well, but that's again, it's just what are you paying for with your gambling? I like to pay for the entertainment, right? The ride.
This is gonna sound corny. I love the process of it all so much. Like the process of me building lineups and talking through lineups with you guys all week for a main slate to me is genuinely more enjoyable than the games themselves. As crazy as that sounds. Like I love the process of building DFS lineups and working through the plays and the analysis. There's nothing I love more, and I love it more than the games itself.
I agree. Like I'm a process guy too. That's part of why I made my splash play channels, because I'd like to show, like, even if I don't win money in the slate, like here's the things I was right about. Here's the things I was wrong about. Like here's what we learned from whatever. So I'm the same way as you, but I don't know, man. I just like I like the soup nuts. I want the full 11 Madison Park full course menu of like just me being happy and then getting it ripped away from me every single slate.
Yeah. Okay. So what we're getting at here is you're just a masochist.
Oh yeah, I mean, in every possible way. I have a puppy here as being an asshole. I make my life harder at every turn. Is probably the thing you can psychologically analyze about me.
I get it, man. Anyway, you guys are the best. Appreciate you. Go follow Spags at Chris Spags on Twitter, and check out the Splash Play channel right here on YouTube. Go follow him. Check out his shows. He does a lot of great videos. Awesome best ball work. That'll be back before you know it. Do you do best ball for other sports?
I do a little bit of NBA, but not for content because I don't have a sponsor for it. But I like best ball for other sports, but football is really the fun one. Yeah, and the money's just not as big for like basketball. I mean, I know there's NHL streams going on here, so watch those, but money's not as big.
I want Josh to do some NBA best ball. I feel like I'm trying to get him into it. He knows a lot about basketball. Like he's so well versed in the NBA. I would love for him to do it, but he won't do it.
It's tough because it is like a different game style where you have to know how to allot capital and all that. That's the trade-off.
But he's not a dumb guy, right? Like he'd figure that out, but it's a process.
It's definitely, there's good tournaments out there for NBA, and you got, a month till the season starts. So if you want to play some NBA best ball, now's the time.
All right. Appreciate you guys. You're fantastic as always. Have a great rest of the night. And I was going to pull up ownership here, but it's not loading. DraftKings always does that weird thing where it's like it takes a few minutes to show ownership after the slate locks. Have a great night. We'll see you back here for the next one. First Look Strategy Show. Ben Ross and myself tomorrow, 10 Eastern time. Bye-bye.